What's up? It's Mike from First Issue Club, and we're going to be talking to you about last week's first issues. Of course, normally First Issue Club podcast would have talked to you guys about all the great first issues that came out on our podcast, but since it was Valentine's Day, we did a very special episode and talked about a graphic novel that we all loved, My Boyfriend is a Bear. But don't fear, we're going to catch you up on all of the great first issues that I at least read last week. First up, Hit Girl in Hollywood, coming at you from your boy Kevin Smith. This book was odd. The subtitle of it is The Silent Era. I think kind of a nod to the history of Hollywood, right? So the story is told without any word balloons until the very last page. So no dialogue necessarily in this comic. Art is beautiful. I loved that. Subject matter, a little dicey for me. This is a school shooting. It made me a little uncomfortable. It's hard to tell a gleeful story or just like a fun romp of a story that's set in such a serious space. I don't know where Kevin Smith is going with this or what the intention was. I kind of understand the whole idea of wanting to see terrorist perpetrators, horrible people who are shooting up children at school, be brought to justice, but had a tough time, I think, just translating that into a fun comic book read. Ultimately, we find that Hit Girl has a movie or story being made about her in Hollywood, so she hops on a plane and jets to Hollywood to check out what the idea is behind this whole production that's based around her life. So that's an intriguing story, kind of a weird start. I don't know if it's going to continue on the motif of like honoring different eras in Hollywood like this one did with no dialogue in it, but that would be interesting. Something I could see Kevin Smith doing since he's involved in movies and loves doing homage sort of books. So I'm going to pick up the second issue, see how it goes. Maybe a tough pill to swallow for this first issue, but at least a quick read since there was nothing to read actually. Alright, next book that I read was DC's Wonder Twins. Yeah, it's those Wonder Twins. We've got our alien species of a superhero sibling duo who are on Earth trying to make it in high school and trying to figure out their powers and where exactly they fit in on the hero spectrum. If you remember these cartoons growing up, one of the siblings can turn into different forms of liquid, and then the other morphs into different types of animals, I believe. So not super useful powers, at least in the grand scheme of things. But they get mixed up in some funny stuff along with classic high school drama sort of things. So I think it was a pretty interesting read. I had fun with it. It's obviously on the nose and funny, which is kind of what I was hoping for and expected from this book. There's a lot of nods to classic characters, and we see the fun universe of those more popular DC characters and how these characters try to fit in and navigate. So if you're looking for something funny and fun and you can still find this book at your shop, I think it's worth picking up the first issue and seeing if you like it. Next, The Savage Sword of Conan. I actually couldn't believe that Jason Aaron's Conan book was getting spin-offs. I thought Conan, kind of a stretch of a character to get us to buy in on and get super interested in 2019. Obviously, it's a character that so much has been done with, and the age of kind of muscle man comic books and these epic fantasy tales is kind of bygone. And typically when people do an homage to those sorts of things, it can be really tired and regurgitated. I did, however, love what Jason Aaron did. We talked about it on the podcast when his first issue came out of the new Conan series, and I think we all generally liked it. Loved where the first issue went. Unfortunately, the second issue of that didn't necessarily pick up with the same storyline immediately. We kind of got another jaunt that Conan was on during some point of his life, and I really loved it. And I was initially disappointed, but hopefully we get back to what that initial storyline was going at with Jason Aaron's run. This, however, typically something I would have not picked up, but my man, Gerry Duggan, is writing this one. I love almost everything that this guy does. Writes killer indie comic books, does great things with Marvel, did a run on Guardians of the Galaxy that I really liked. Analog came out recently on Image, that was great. So I like him. He can be funny, he can tell a serious story all at the same time. This story is a little less epic maybe than you would expect from some sort of Conan books. He's essentially held captive on a slaver ship. He's shackled to another character, and then ultimately at the end of the story, we finally get that touch that something epic and fantastical is going to happen. He opens this mysterious chest, and it opens his third eye on his forehead, and he sees into the future, and he sees his fate, which is maybe a tie-in to Jason Aaron's run. Not sure yet, but again, Gerry hasn't done me wrong in a while, so I think fun book to pick up if you're riding along for the other Conan series that's happening right now with Marvel. Speaking of spin-offs, there's another one at Marvel, of course. Obviously, why wouldn't they? Avengers No Road Home is a spin-off of Avengers No Surrender. You can see we've got the character Voyager back, an interesting character that was debuted in that last series. I liked her. I thought she was an interesting character. Speaking of Conan-type characters, we've got Hercules starring in this one. We don't see him starring too many things with Marvel anymore, so kind of an interesting team that we've got thrown together here. I really picked this up because Al Ewing is writing it, and he's been killing it lately. Just in the corner here, you get a little peek at our Immortal Hulk. That run has been amazing lately. Anything that character is involved in, I'm going to be picking up. I thought this book was fun. It kind of follows along the same sort of storyline that No Surrender took us in. If you read that, Earth was kind of kidnapped and placed somewhere out in space and used as a chessboard for these two mega powerful guys who are having a battle. In this scenario, we have another planetary instance where all light has disappeared and we're not sure exactly where the sun has gone, why there's an absence of light. But our superhero team believes they're up for the task. We kind of get into this mythological sort of storyline with Hercules, and that kind of explains some of what's happened. People like Zeus, Athena kind of show up. Kind of interesting. Al Ewing, I picked up the second issue this week. I think it's weekly for a while. I'm going to see where it goes. Who knows? A few bucks. I don't know. I thought I'd take a try on it. Marvel, you're crazy for this one. 3 spin-offs in a row that I bought this week. Next Gen is a spin-off of an Uncanny X-Men event that's been happening. The X-Men have disappeared into a mysterious realm caused by the actions of X-Man, the son of Scott Summers. I'm not totally sure where this series is going, but you may know if you listen to First Issue Club, we love Glob. This story centers around Glob and what he knows. He's kind of got a higher level of awareness about what's happened with all these displaced X-Men. If you haven't been following along, they believe they're living in this utopia sort of society where everything is perfect for mutants. We know as readers that something is amiss and there's some sort of mystery in how they got to this place. How real it really is. Are all these characters dead, or are they just trapped in some sort of alternate universe or different plane? Glob knows. He has some insight on that, and we get a peek into the politics of this world and how they kind of keep people down in a Stepford Wives sort of situation where they keep everybody in line. I'm super interested by this storyline. Initially, kind of upset to find out that Marvel was going to spin off this great new Uncanny X-Men series into 6 separate books. I think trying to read X-Men Gold, Blue, Red, etc. Got a little tedious and hard to follow for me, and it was nice to see a singular book kind of come back together that at least steered the ship of all the other surrounding things. Now that I'm in it and I'm reading each of these, I really like where it's going. Nightcrawler is another spin-off book that came off of this. He's like an actor in Hollywood in this universe. So that came out this week. If you're reading along with these storylines, you might want to pick that one up too. I think I'm sticking to Next Gen just because of my boy Glob here. All right, those are the first issues that I read this week. Obviously, there's more that come out every week, but my stack is so high and I can only get it so short on a day-to-day basis. So I'm still catching up. These were the heavy hitters that I thought would be fun to talk about. If you haven't listened to our podcast, First Issue Club, check that out on iTunes and Stitcher. We've got a full cast of people that we talk to and have a good conversation each week about these first issues. It's a really fun reading club for us, and we hope that it's fun to listen along with too. We're going to try to do some more fun stuff on our YouTube channel. We're kind of new to this, so hit us up if you hate it, if you love it. We want to know what we could be doing different or better, so holler at us either way, and hopefully keep checking back. Thanks. Bye.